Brian. Today we've got Brian Longwe from CTN, Converged Technology Networks. And we just want to thank you very much for the time that you've set aside to chat with us. So,
Yeah,
Brian,
pleasure to be here.
could you give us a
Yes.
quick overview of CTN?
Yeah, thank you very much, Heather. It's really great to be here and get a chance to talk about our experience from this neck of the woods, so to speak. My name is Brian Longwe, and I am the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder for Converged Technology Networks, or CTN. Converged Technology Networks is such a long name. We decided to rebrand it to make it something shorter, more memorable, and that could fit on a poster or on a t-shirt. So yes, we go by the name CTN Malawi. We are an internet service provider based in Malawi, which likes to be referred to as the warm heart of Africa. It's a small country right in the middle of the continent. And we've been operating since January 2019. And right from the beginning, we chose Splynx as our billing platform. And we've been able to go and grow with Splynx. Yeah.
Fantastic. Could you tell me, since you said you've been with Splynx from the beginning, how did you hear about us?
Right. When we were looking to start, we did quite a lot of research, looking at what are existing solutions that are out there of billing and provisioning systems. So there's lots of billing systems, there's lots of provisioning systems, but there's not that many systems that bring the two together into a single solution that is able to both do the billing and the provisioning at the same time. And we wanted to try to automate as much as we could because, one, we're a startup company, very poor. We were a very poor startup company with very little money. Two, we were setting up an internet service provider in one of the poorest countries in the world. At the time we started, Malawi was in the bottom 5 in terms of poorest countries in the world, and we still are somewhere in that domain. So as a result of that, you would imagine that availability of technical skills, availability of competent personnel who are able to run and manage digital businesses is limited. So we wanted to try to reduce on our wage bill and on our human resource requirements by automating as much as we could of the operations of an ISP. Personally, having been running ISPs around Africa for about 27 years, one of the things that I've really come to appreciate and to learn is the value and the importance of having good back office systems that are able to do a lot of the work, that are able to ensure that there's consistency in processes, that are able to ensure that there is predictability. And as much as we love getting our hands dirty and really taking, you could say, the praise or the glory for things when they go well, the truth of the matter is that you will find that in most environments where you have high-performing individuals or high-performing services, there is a lot of automation at the back of it. So this is one of the things that led us to find Splynx through our extensive online research. We talked to a few people that were already using Splynx. We liked what we heard. And then eventually when we contacted the Splynx team, they were very helpful in terms of being able to facilitate and onboard us. I think also the one other thing that stands out the most for me was a lot of the systems that we looked at the time were cloud-based. And I do know that Splynx does have a cloud-based offering, but coming from a very resource-constrained environment and a poor country that has very poor infrastructure, landlocked in the center of Africa with limited access to the internet and very dodgy international connectivity. We wanted a system that would be able to work all the time, whether the internet is good or not. So we wanted something that we can install on bare metal, that we can install on our own hardware in the country, and that would be able to provide whatever services it's providing with minimal dependence on the quality and the performance of the international connection. And that was another plus that drove our selection and choice of Splynx as a platform.
That's all very useful information. Thanks, Brian. Interesting to hear the challenges that you're facing and how you've actually managed to navigate them by the selection of Splynx as your chosen provider. Could you tell us, obviously being a startup back in 2018 or 2019, how many people are on your team? How many people started and how many are with you now?
When we started, we were 2, and now we are 20.
Wow. Wow, that's
when
amazing.
we started, it was myself and my co-founder, who just happens to be my younger brother.
Okay.
Now we are a team of about 20. Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic.
6 years later. Yeah.
Wow, that's phenomenal growth, hey? Sure. Amazing.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so you've told me how you heard about the product. You did your research and you chatted to people in the industry as well. And how many different people in your company use Splynx, and which department in your business?
Every single one.
And is that every day?
Every single one of our team uses Splynx every single day.
Wow.
Our sales team use Splynx for their leads management, and their, when they close, they convert these leads into customers. Our accounts and billing team and customer service team use the CRM as well as the customer management and billing management and service management capabilities for their daily engagements, resolving problems. Our NOC uses Splynx to be able to share customer graphs with them, to be able to troubleshoot customer issues, to refer to customer information. A customer is called, they have a problem. The first port of call for our NOC is Splynx, because they go in and they look up the customer record, they look at the customer graph, which is based on their usage, they look up the customer IP address that's assigned to be able to do remote support and checks. Going further, our technical team, our field engineers, use Splynx as well. For their work orders, we use the scheduling feature, which has a mobile app, which allows us to be able to push work orders to the team in the field, so that they are able to know which place they're going to do support or which place they're going to do an installation at. They're able to take pictures at those locations, attach them into that customer record so that we have documentation on what has happened. So pretty much everybody uses it. Management, executives, we go in and we look at our numbers. The finance department uses Splynx because we do all our invoicing out of Splynx. So Splynx generates invoices, sends them to customers, syncs with our accounting system, and then payments are recorded in our accounting system, and Splynx is updated accordingly. So our accounts team are always interacting, or our finance department are always interacting with Splynx. I pull, as chief executive, I pull reports from Splynx when I'm meeting with my shareholders to be able to share data with them about our performance. This month we've done well, this month we've done badly. This is our ARPU. This is, how much bandwidth our customers are pulling. So it's pretty much everybody in the company. Maybe the only one who doesn't use Splynx is our cook, because she's in the kitchen, making sure everybody gets fed. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. That's really great. So it sounds like you're making full use of the platform, and it's also such a nice thing to have everything in a central place. So for you as a CEO to pull all that information out whenever you need it, it's simple, and it's right there, which is great to hear. And could you tell me, in terms of your customer churn, how is that managed on Splynx? And do you believe that, because you said you've got a lot of history and experience in the ISP space, do you believe that Splynx is helping you reducing that?
So, customer churn there's a lot of things that contribute towards customer churn. And, I have to be very honest and say that as a new ISP, starting from zero and sort of growing, the journey has not been easy, right? We've had our fair share of problems, in terms of being able to onboard, service, and maintain our customers. So as a result, over the years, we have experienced churn. One of the things that I would say Splynx has been able to sort of help us to do is we've been able to keep track of every single person that has been our customer ever since day one, right? We don't, there's this saying, the internet doesn't forget, Splynx doesn't forget either. So we have been able to keep these customers in our database of contacts. And as we've been able to work on improving and addressing some of the challenges and issues that we faced, I think I mentioned at the beginning that Malawi is a landlocked country. We depend on other countries for our international connectivity. Our international connectivity passes through Mozambique, through Tanzania, through Zambia, through South Africa. Because of this, you find that if there's a problem in a neighboring country, it affects us even worse than it affects that country. I joke to my team when I say that when Tanzania sneezes, Malawi catches a cold, right?
Oh dear, yeah.
And that's because, a small problem with one network in their country, but probably a network that serves Malawi, actually ends up creating total outage for Malawi. Whereas you'll find that maybe they have 5, 6, 7, 8 networks that are still operational, so they're able to change over. So those are some of the challenges that we've faced, and these tend to translate into service outages, which customers hate. If you're in the middle of watching your favorite Netflix movie, you definitely don't want somebody, to sort of tell you, oops, you're going to have to wait for 3 hours for the fiber cut in Tanzania to get fixed, right? And especially not if you were, maybe it was your family night or your date night or whatever the case may be. So these are the kind of challenges that we've experienced that have affected our relationship with customers over the years. And this is encouraging because I would say that we really were able to get a lot of issues resolved and fixed and be happy about our systems and infrastructure about 2 years ago. And in the last 2 years, we've probably recovered about 50% of all customers that left us. Just by going back, just by having our sales teams take those lists, go back to them, start a conversation, and keep on talking to them about our services, our improvements, offer them free services, offer them trials. We've been able to see a high level of conversion in terms of bringing customers back to us. So that's one good thing. And of course, the other good thing is in terms of just customer retention, we're able to retain customers better because of the ability to share with them information.
Yes, absolutely. It'll just give you that extra edge. Okay, that's great. And could you describe the process of working with Splynx?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Right from the start, the experience that we've had has been excellent. The team at Splynx have been extremely supportive. They are very quick to respond. They follow up to ensure that whatever issues it is that we faced, which have been very few, I must add, are addressed. I'll share one experience we had. Right, we had a situation where Splynx was initially running on a bare metal server, a bare metal machine. Then that was right at the beginning in 2019. Then we decided we're going to deploy virtualized infrastructure, so that rather than having one physical box for every single service, we run them as virtual machines. So we needed to virtualize our Splynx instance and get it into a virtual machine. And we asked, how could you advise us to go about this? And we were given some very good tips, which we followed, and we were able to create an image of our existing Splynx, and with support of the team, migrate it over into a virtualized environment, spin it up as a virtual machine, and then just sort of do all the little, tips and tweaks to be able to get it operating fully. And that was all completed in a 24-hour period.
Wow.
So, that was really, to me, a show of excellence that was coming from that came from the team at Splynx. So I really have a high level of confidence in them and
that's
faith.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so important too, because as you've explained and shared with us, there's a lot of things that are outside of your control in your industry, and particularly in Malawi with the challenges that you're facing. So if you can have some faith and trust in Splynx, and things are actually, I don't know, it kind of makes you feel like you're more in control of something, I guess.
That's right. Mm.
Okay, great. I wanted to just find out a little bit about LibreQoS, because you've been using that and you're using the integration with Splynx. When did you start using LibreQoS?
So we've been using LibreQoS now for about 2 years, which means that we have gone through several different editions or releases of LibreQoS, right from when it was really very basic until now. It's very rich and has a lot of analytics, and has improved massively. And LibreQoS as a quality of service and traffic shaping, actually, I think of it more as a quality of experience engine that just helps us as an ISP deal with buffer bloat. Buffer bloat, I would say, is the ISP's biggest enemy. Anytime you hear customers complaining, oh, the internet is slow, oh, the internet, my Netflix is buffering, my YouTube is buffering, usually the number one cause of that is buffer bloat. And this is just buffer bloat is part of the internet by design. It's one of the ways in which TCP/IP, or the language of the internet, is able to sort of ensure that packets get where they are supposed to go. But in an internet service provider context, it is unnecessary bloat that actually makes every single transaction heavier and lazier. So being able to trim the unnecessary extras and ensure that the majority of the traffic that's moving across the wire is good traffic and is relevant traffic, only makes the end user experience much better. And that's what LibreQoS does, and it does it amazingly well. The integration with Splynx is phenomenal. I mean, it integrates with Splynx seamlessly. From Splynx, we're able to tell it, these are our customers, these are their service packages, this is their bandwidth down, their bandwidth up, so it's almost the way that, I sort of talk about it. It's set and forget, basically. Wow. As far as our experience has been. Before we implemented LibreQoS, oh man, we were pulling our hair out.
Sure.
We tried a lot of different systems. We tried a lot of different queuing mechanisms, traffic shaping mechanisms on the switches and routers that we use. And none of them were just sort of, all of them were very hands-on. All of them had a lot of tweaking and fiddling that we had to keep on doing. But ever since we've transitioned over to Splynx, And we actually worked quite closely with the LibreQoS team to get the Splynx integration working in the first place. If I'm not wrong, I think we were one of the first ISPs.
Oh, wow.
And since then, I think there's quite a few more that have onboarded. But ever since we got that sorted, that's it. Set and forget. It just works in the background and cleans everything and gives our customers a good experience. We had an occasion, this was just before Christmas last year, where the box that runs Splynx, sorry, not Splynx, the box that runs LibreQoS had a problem. There was a power outage which affected the whole room in which our equipment is located, and all the equipment shut down and came up when the power came back on after a couple of minutes. And this box didn't boot up fully. So it didn't really get into the point where the LibreQoS was running. And immediately everybody felt it, Our phones started ringing off the hook. And knowing what I know, the first thing I did was I said, guys, is the LibreQoS box on? Is it reachable? And they said no. So we sent a team over to that side part of the city. They sort of brought it up properly, and boom, that was it. Everything was back to normal. So okay, on our side, it probably was also a heads up that you guys need to put in some redundancies so that you can avoid this happening again, because that then becomes a single point of failure, or well, not really single point, or a vulnerability. So that's us and LibreQoS.
Wow, but that's an amazing example of just how powerful it is, hey? And the automation that you said, and you forget about it, and that it's centrally tied into Splynx as well. So it's all seamless, which is fantastic.
It's all seamless, and we're really excited because next month we have the first Malawi network operators group, and also the Southern African network operators group is going to be hosted by Malawi in mid-August. And we've kind of managed to convince one of the developers of LibreQoS to come and speak at this event. So yeah, we're excited about that. Yeah.
That's really fantastic. Yeah, wow. Yeah. And that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really helpful, the information you've shared about LibreQoS. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in this after this success story is shared with fellow ISPs. I just wanted to find out too, in terms of Splynx and the LibreQoS, have you found that your support teams are finding it easier to troubleshoot and resolve network issues with the LibreQoS system in place? Or could you tell me a bit about that?
Yes. So we initially were not using LibreQoS itself as much to support customers because Splynx was doing such a good job. But one of the things that we have found that we are now using LibreQoS quite a bit for is revenue assurance. So LibreQoS is able to tell us any customer that is using our bandwidth, using our infrastructure that isn't in Splynx. So all authorized and official users are in Splynx. LibreQoS is able to tell us, hey, there's somebody here that I don't know because Splynx hasn't told me about them. And on that basis, we've been able to smoke out a lot of fraud.
Wow.
We've been able to identify, stop, and catch in the region of about, maybe if I'm to add it all up over the last 7 or 8 months, maybe 25 illegal connections.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
That is. Wow, that is powerful. Yes, yeah, I didn't know that you could use LibreQoS in that application. What an amazing,
I didn't know either,
useful.
But it has this list of things that it calls unknown IP addresses, because it sort of shapes all the traffic going through it. So it has IP addresses that it knows about because it's been told about them by Splynx. and then it has IP addresses that it doesn't know about. So that list of unknown IP addresses alone has been able to help us really sort this issue out.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so useful, so important. Sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Brian, is there anything else a message you'd like to send to our team, or any changes or improvements apart from what you said with the scheduling app that you'd just like to send through to the Splynx guys and girls?
Well, yeah, I think just really to say, keep up the great work. I think the work that's being done is amazing. I would also urge them to speed up the work on setting up DPO as a payment option that's available not only in Powerlynx but also in Splynx, because for many countries in Africa, DPO is the only available payment gateway that they have. We're not able to use any of the other 30 or so payment gateways that have already been integrated into Splynx. So I think that would help solve a lot of problems. In our case, we still end up doing sort of a lot of manual payment processing, which just makes it that much trickier. There's cash risk, and it's not as seamless as we would want it to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more cumbersome.
That would be a great help. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially with your move now towards making use of the customer portal, you would like that, the customers have the ability of making instant payments and doing that work for you, and them having that control, which is really great. I forgot to ask about Powerlynx. So you just brought that up with the DPO integration. And so you've tried out Powerlynx. What are your feelings on the product?
So we put together a small team internally to look at Powerlynx. It had technical, it had billing, customer service, and it had sales in it. And their job was really just to sort of set it up, test it, and then give us feedback as management about whether this is good to go. This is something that we can really use for our public hotspot strategy. And the team loved it. They set it up so fast, I was shocked. And I walked in the office one day and I can't use the internet without getting onto, without registering on Powerlynx. And I'm like, guys, what's going on with my internet, office internet? They're like, no, you told us to test it, so there it is for you, So I had to use Powerlynx to get connected in my own office to my own network,
Brilliant.
And I was like, where do I get a voucher from? They said, go to the kitchen,
I like that.
Went
the
and sort of
shop
simulated a transaction. Yes, I sort of simulated a transaction in the kitchen, got my voucher, and then was able to log on and use it. And that was great. So, the team loved it. They loved how quickly and easily they were able to set it up. And we were beginning now to see clearly our vision of being able to roll out really reliable public hotspots. We've been dreaming about this for almost 3 years now, but we've not found a system that we feel confident and comfortable enough about. We've tested probably about 10 to 15 different systems. And now finally we're looking at, yes, this looks like what is going to take us to the next level. So we're excited
that's fantastic.
about it.
Yeah, very. We just need to get the DPO integration in place, and then you're A for away.
Totally, 100%.
Oh, fantastic! There's such a need. There's such a need to bridge this digital divide and get the internet out to everybody. And it's great that you are at the forefront of this too in Malawi. Such a big thing.
Yes, and we really believe strongly that this is going to really help us get to the bottom of the pyramid in terms of being able to deliver good, high quality internet in a way that is affordable to lower income neighborhoods, to the high density neighborhoods where individuals don't necessarily have laptops, computers, tablets, but they have a handheld device. They've got a phone. And we can sell them internet in bite-sized pieces.
And make it accessible to everybody. Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time, Brian. It's been wonderful catching up with you, meeting you, and also hearing about your exciting business and the massive growth that you've seen in such a short space of time. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Heather.
Brian.
And I hope that maybe we will see Splynx at AfricaCom later this year.
Yes,
in Cape Town. In Cape Town.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Okay. Cool.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Brian.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.